you, Melanie?
Great. Good, 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 good. Alrighty, so I'm just gonna get started. Because the last time I did this, um, I think it was like last couple of weeks. I did a live stream. Some people jumped in. I gave some feedback, and some people also sent me some portfolios to review because they wouldn't be around. And for some reason, YouTube didn't upload the live stream. It was very weird. But nonetheless, I'm just gonna redo it because I just figured, okay, I'm here now, and whoever can is here, they can benefit. Um, Alrighty. So before I jump in, is there any work that you want to share first, or do you want me to just get started?
It's up to you. I just came from a career fair. Didn't really have much luck, so I have my portfolio. If you want to take time to review it, but if you already had others in queue, I can always wait.
Okay, no problem. Alrighty. So let's get to it. Um, this work is from. I'm just checking on the stream to make sure it's good. Okay, everything's good. Yeah, so this site is from Bavia. Um, I think I looked at their Hear It app the last time that I looked at it. I didn't look at the other stuff because they have a lot of other work here, but I don't have time to like go through every project. So I think I'll just jump into the project that I talked about because I think I had some good remarks to share. So far with this site, I think this was built on Framer, and I've used Framer before, and I noticed there was a bit of bugs, but when this person did their site, it seems like it's perfectly like responsive the way that it should be. So that's really good. So it's good that Framer has worked out for them. They made a good, I guess, landing page for their work. They kind of have alternating images and text, so it's not too repetitive. I guess you can anchor information and focus more clearly this way. So I think that's really good. And another thing that I'll remark, not that it's super important, it's not going to hurt your chances of getting a job, but buttons to download resumes, it might be helpful, but just consider that whenever you, I don't want to dox this person, so I'm just going to close that link. It's just whenever you have resumes, they should be tailored to the job specifically. So, although a generalized resume might be good for like saving you time from having to send out resumes, HR people they usually expect people to go through their kind of registration process for applying to jobs. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes it's helpful if, let's just say, you want to share your website to like a business owner, and the business owner is making decisions on who to hire. They might find it useful to download your resume, but just keep in mind that if you're trying to apply to any job, having it tailored and not necessarily just sending out a generic resume would be better for your chances of getting a job. All right, so I think this person had like two versions of their portfolio, which is um, it's okay. It's just keep in mind that it depends on what you put on it. I'm just gonna close that window that's covering up. Okay, so one thing that I think I mentioned last time was the visual and the branding colors were really good. Like the great use of like um, typography here. The thing that's a little bit confusing is that this is not very accessible in a sense that this is all one image and it's very difficult to actually read the case study as text, like to highlight pieces of text or anything like that. It's all just one image. But I get it. This is Behance, and this is quite typical for Behance portfolios to just show visuals. And Behance is really great for graphic designers, but just keep in mind when you're making a UX case study, you have multiple people that might be looking at your case study. So keep in mind to try to keep it like brief and concise and easy for people to kind of read through and skim through. If it's too long like this, there might be chances where all this great work that you've done might not be getting a second look. So, first glance, they show everything, and it's good that they were trying to think about the whole case study. So I think at the beginning here, there's like a problem statement. It says, here is an app which offers a safe space for users to share worries, thoughts, feelings, fostering trust and support. And it's also a virtual haven for anyone, for understanding and connection. And I think the problem statement could be a little bit more focused on what the app helps users to do specifically and why it matters. Because if it sounds too vague, we won't know from the get-go what the product is. So is it a mental health app? Is it a mental health emotions tracker? Is it a journal, a diary? So specifying what your product is and what problem it is solving for the users in a brief, concise statement would be a little bit more clearer. Duration, I don't think duration matters. Understand that, like, yes, people who come out of boot camps in school, they might, disclose information like how long it took for them to make a project. However, I think with stakeholders and companies, they care a lot about the results more than just how long did it take to make. Just keep that in mind. So they know that, like, it takes time to develop wireframes and stuff like that, but your value comes in being able to solve problems effectively and employing the right kind of solution that matches the problem. So the timing stuff may not be very super important to mention here. Roles are important. Sometimes it might help to add context. So you might want to explain what you did as a researcher or a UX designer or UI designer. If you worked with other people, you might want to mention who worked on the team or the project with you, if that's applicable. Some other points I want to mention is a lot of this could be summarized. There are bullet points, and it looks like there was an attempt at summarizing, at least summarizing the research results. This could be an interesting point to use infographics, but maybe stick to like one that really makes it clear about who your users are and who you're targeting and why. It seems like this person wanted to go all out and show every aspect of research, and that's fine for your own personal kind of like tracking, like making sure that you know thoroughly who your users are. But when it comes to showcasing this in a case study, just recognize that when you're applying for jobs, people in HR, they are going to look through your portfolio very quickly. They're going to look at your resume very quickly. And when you get to the interview stage, they'll ask you to do a design test. And during the design test, you'll be on a second or third interview where you get to explain and go into detail about how you come to these kind of conclusions. So just keep this in mind that like this is stuff that you probably will share in the interview, but not at like the application stage. But it's good that you're showing it, and it shows us that like you know exactly how to address a problem and focus on users. But just keep in mind that you might want to shorten this and condense it so that it's easy to read. Same thing with the journey maps and stuff like that. It's important to do, but if there's no explanation as to why you included the user journey map here, then it could be just a quick summary, a quick sentence of, we think the user journey should be boom, boom, boom. These are the phases that the user is supposed to go through. Maybe show some product images of like how your product is going to work, and that would also illustrate what the user journey and experience is like. And like I said, in the interview phase, there's going to be chances where you can expand on your research methodologies a bit more. But at this stage, you want to make sure that it's super brief and super concise. I don't know if I have anything more to say about this. I do remember seeing a lot of this, and I pretty much repeated the same things that like it's important to have how might we statements, but just keep the document as concise as possible. If anything, maybe like 5 or 6, and I've recommended this to other people who have asked me this question, like 5 or 6 paragraphs maximum. Depending on the length of the paragraphs, keep them short and easy to read. And make sure you're using a lot of visuals that showcases your product, how it works, how you're solving it. And if you have research on impact and results, that could also be helpful. And if you don't have data on that, you could also talk about what you have learned from the project, especially if it's a theoretical one and it's one that where you didn't have to launch the product and generate money or income for a business. Um, what else can we learn about this? Information architecture, good to have, but not necessarily needed. See, these are nice wireframes. It would be nice if they had like a high fidelity mock-up to kind of show how this product would work. And if you just show us snapshots of key moments where users are making actions on a screen, this could tie into your value proposition, which is also something that maybe product designers and UX designers should think about in terms of how you can translate your goals as a product as business goals. Of like, if you want to showcase this product, you might want to think about how can you explain this like an elevator pitch, like you're trying to sell your product to someone who wants to buy it, like a potential customer or someone who wants to use this app. What would you say to them to hook them in and make them want to use it? So if you think about things like that, then it would help you to figure out how to focus your energies on explaining the best parts of your product, and all the stuff about how it works will happen after people see a brief introduction. Think of it like a teaser to a movie. Don't show the whole movie, just show us the 30-second teaser and make people think, wow, this is an interesting product. I want to know how this works, right? And that's also kind of like what could happen if you're trying to apply for jobs, is like think about your case study as being a teaser for your movie, right? So this is the product. I'm not going to tell you everything about it, but I'll tell you like the best parts of it so that you want to know more, and then you want to like interview me and get to know my processes a little bit better. So these are great wireframes. I like their UI, consistent color usage, and hierarchy of text. So it's all kind of consistent. I like it. It's clear. As for the font sizes on this screen, obviously this looks like a mid-fi kind of wireframe, so it's probably just like a rough draft before the final. It looks a bit small, but like I said, I'm just going to hold my comments on that because that could be a case where they might have changed that. This section here, it says process. So this is the thing. Process is all the way down here when I think it could also be moved up a little bit further. Like if we get short and concise statements about what your product is, what it's about, why you made the decisions that you've made, I think we could showcase a lot of the good work here in an effective way. I think there is a template. I don't know if anyone has followed Sarah Duty online, but if you check the library channel on our Discord, I have there's a template there. So if you're wondering how to structure your case study and just bring the best parts together, you could use that template to help draft out your copywriting, and then you could figure out how to lay that out in text and also on your screens when you're working on your portfolio visuals. Sorry to breeze through this, but there's a lot to go through, and this is also the struggle with giving feedback. Is I would like to be more thorough, but if there's a lot of things to go through, I might not have time to go through everything. But this is also good practice because if you are trying to get into UX and you're wondering how to get started and what that experience should be like and what people are going to think about your work when they see it, it helps to get these impressions so that you actually kind of know what you could do to your work to improve it. Okay, so this one is sort of like a design system, and I guess it's okay because it's like when you're practicing how to build a design system, it's always going to be a challenge for junior designers to figure out all the complexities and all the elements that make up a wireframe screen. So if anyone follows the atomic method, you know that you have to break down everything into its tiniest parts, like atoms and molecules, and you put everything together to build templates for web pages and mobile app screens. So it's good to think about that. But also, it may not be necessary for every project, so not every project that you do needs a design system. And design systems in business are kind of used for a specific reason. Usually it's to save money on production costs and the amount of time it takes to, I guess, get work approved between design and development. So if you haven't worked with developers, this is a case where having a developer kind of give you feedback on the design system could also be a benefit. So I'm a visual kind of person, so I'm a designer, I'm not a developer. So just take my comments with a grain of salt. It's just something that I'm just commenting on based on my experience. Okay, so this is sort of like a brand kit, which isn't bad, and it's sort of within the realms of graphic design more than UX, because if you have sizes here, it should be clear like why we're using these sizes and why do you have these fonts in the way that they are. It says here why the Hardit at employs Montserrat and Lato fonts, striking a perfect balance between professionalism and approachability. So this is more like a branding kind of thing. Like if you want to market your product, then this is sort of like the type of marketing lingo that's expected, which is you're trying to connect with people's emotions. And that's why, color psychology is used a lot. But color psychology could be used in UX for helping people to read the pages better, for accessibility and stuff like that, for maintaining people's attention and focus. So also keep that in mind, that like when you do research and you see how your users behave when they see certain colors or certain buttons arranged in a certain way, that might impact your design a lot as well. But the statements about professionalism and approachability is, I guess it's a perception, so it's always down to research. Like when you ask your users what they feel about the product, if they report feelings of professionalism, then you could also tie that into what you've uncovered with your research. If this is just an assumption, then just, I don't know. I think it could be mentioned less. It could be focused more on you've chosen a set of fonts based on accessibility kind of standards, like what is most likely to be read by people who have certain types of sizes of mobile screens, or like the resolution of the screens. So if you keep that in mind about the technical aspects of why you've decided to make these changes to font and stuff like that, that could also be applicable to UX. So far it's sounding like branding, but this is not bad. It's a good start, and it's a good way to think about your product in terms of how else can you look at it. Can you look at it from a marketing point of view? Maybe you can market this product to a certain audience, and maybe you're thinking about things in that kind of way, which is okay. The colors here, we have semantic colors, and we have colors that are just blobs here, and it says why. The shade blue is not only aesthetically pleasing, but it carries a positive association. Yeah, so I remember looking at this before, and these do not look blue. I don't know if this is just a spelling error, or it could just be, I don't know, maybe there was a mistake here. Maybe it was supposed to be blue and they swapped it with gray. Or maybe it's a gray with blue in it, but this is not blue. And if English is not your first language, definitely make sure you grammar check and also ask someone who is a native speaker of English. I am, so I can definitely help you with this, but that definitely does not come across as blue. It definitely comes across as gray. And a lot of these color associations are based on color psychology, so if it's based off of something that you've read, like an article and stuff like that, you could mention it if you think that's relevant. But for this particular project, I think it looks like a school project. I don't think it's necessary. You could have colors here, and you could have a brief statement on why the spectrum of green kind of works with what you're trying to do as a brand. And also when it comes to accessibility, if you have checked your colors for contrast, you might want to mention that these colors are accessible depending on like what kind of screen environment is it in. Is it in light mode or dark mode? So these secondary colors, for example, like they're very muted. So if this has a particular role, like these are background colors, then that would make sense because if you were trying to contrast it with anything that's darker or lighter, it would be legible. So if you tie this and incorporate this back into heuristics and understanding accessibility, then I think you could strengthen your design system here. It will be more compelling. And same thing with like error and validation. I guess it's okay. I just think if you have context, like if you show us what an error message looks like or a validation message would look like, it would be even stronger to know how you use it. But right now, this is just a color swatch page, and there's opportunities for you to think about how you could lay this out a bit better so that it's communicated more clearly how the design system works. Iconography is good. So they use the plugin. I think, yeah, I think when it comes to referencing where you source your icons, I've never seen that done before, but I suppose if you have a source link, that would also be helpful. Obviously, this is all an image, so it cannot be clicked on, so that's a case where you might want to think about changing the format of how you present your case studies. I know Behance was really popular amongst graphic designers and it's very heavily visual, but with case studies, you might want to think about putting this on a website, like the Framer website, and actually having hyperlinks and stuff like that for more context if anyone wants to know how you source these icons or where you got it from. Okay, so I don't want to spend too much time because it's been like 29 minutes. So unfortunately, I don't have too much time to cover this person's work. This is a nice, I like this. This is a great like mock-up. This could be used in the case study more. It would be nice to see that. But just like what I said about the other stuff, is just it could be condensed. And maybe more demonstrative of how the design system works, more than just showcasing every bit of visual without any kind of additional context. So if this, yeah, like this is perfect. This is a how the error messages appear. If it's just the color, I won't understand how that's used. But if you just show us in context where you use it, and definitely specify whether this is accessible or not and this is legible. I can't tell because right now everything is like zoomed out and I'm seeing all the screens, so it's hard to read. But if you just focus on one or few elements, it will make it a lot stronger. All right, so let me just move on to the next portfolio. You can see my screen, right? Hopefully everyone can see my
Yes,
screen.
we can see your screen.
Okay, good. Yeah, because sometimes when I live stream, sometimes it would stop displaying properly, but we're good. Okay, awesome. Okay, so this is Minka's portfolio site. I think it's good. I like their little logo. It's very creative. It's very unusual, and the typography is very bold. The answer to your questions. London-based UX designer, front-end developer, and artist. Sweet. So this has a lot of character, personality. Right off the bat, if I go to the About Us page, what does it say? About me. I think we could do more with the page folds because it's just boom text about me, and you know, even if this appeared first in the same format here, I think that would be okay. Or if they had like a something quippy to write down like they did on the homepage, that would be also cool to lead into this text. It pretty much repeats what they said on the homepage, so I feel like there is a lot of space just repeating information. Um, Aspiring UX designer with a foundation in biomedical sciences. Recent training from a comprehensive UX bootcamp. Seeking internship, entry level positioning. Okay. Okay. And then their picture is here. So I'm also wondering why the picture is down here. It could be up here, right? I don't know. It could be just a suggestion. I'm not saying that this is the best way to do it. But even if this "Who am I" statement was positioned here, I think we could cut down on scrolling space. And then this is their CV, which I know in the UK they have CVs, and in America they use like resumes. I don't know what is common practice, but I've seen some contemporary artists put their CVs on their website, and that's kind of normal there. And I said already with the other person's portfolio, putting the resume on the website may not be helpful, but it totally depends on like where you are and whether this is custom or not. But nonetheless, it's good to know who they are. Let's just go back to their work. I think I had issues loading this page before last time, and I think I don't know if it's a Webflow thing or whether it's me, but it seems like the page takes a while to load. It could be the animations. The scrolling animations might be a lot. Nonetheless, I think I'm viewing everything a little bit better than I did last time, so it's quite possible it could just be me. So Valos is responsive design for a luxury car company. This is Arctic Travel and Groceries. I think I looked at groceries, so I'll do that again so that we actually get the recording this time. Yeah. So I think with this style, it's like they're trying to make a lot of white space for typography. But this could also be utilized, sort of like where she had like the split between the text and the images. She could do that here in the first top page fold to, present her case studies. This is taking up a lot of space. As you can see, the whole screen is just, mock-ups. They're good mock-ups. It's just we might want to consider formatting this so it's easy to read through. Some consideration was made for making a center paragraph, which is good. It's easier to read centered paragraphs like this. Not centered in the sense that it's center text, but it's left to right. But you see how there's white space on each side? You don't have a whole bunch of text covering the entire screen. And there's clear headings, which is good because it helps with skimming. Let me just read through this quickly. My role is part of a boot camp. Right, so I think the last time I looked at this, it because it's framed as client, it might sound a little bit misleading to recruiters that are trying to evaluate your work. They want to know, is this client driven? Were there metrics involved? Because usually as a UX designer, you're trying to help a business either like retain users or follow some kind of business goal and objective. So if there isn't one, because it isn't a real project, like a real client-based project, then you might want to specify like whether it's a school project, or you might want to rename this from client to constraints, because then when you specify constraints, then you have an opportunity to say, hey, we didn't have a budget for this project, or because it was a school project, we didn't have time. Like, specifying constraints is something that happens in the professional world all the time. Like, you're not always going to have the budget to do things, and you're not always going to have the time to research or to do things. So that would dictate, or at least influence, actually, like what you end up doing. So if you mention this as like a constraints instead of client, then that specifies like what you're limited to do, and also what you can and can't do. Because if it's a school project, that means you have to do certain things for the school at the end of the day. Problem: groceries would like their app to be user friendly with clear product descriptions, images to help users make informed choices. With just a few clicks, they want to be able to place an order, make a secure payment, all from the comfort of their home, from their phone, and they want their customers to experience the ease of shopping with groceries. I guess with this statement, it could also be reinforced with some images. So if we have sections here to showcase um, the product, it could connect with the statement more. The problem solution isn't, I'm sorry, the problem statement isn't really a clear problem. It just specifies the solution, which is fast and easy. But when we're trying to describe problems, we're also trying to figure out, why do users want things to be fast and easy? What's preventing them from getting things fast? Like what's stopping them from achieving their goals, right? So if you frame this as like, oh, we find that like busy moms don't have time to go into traffic to go into the grocery store, so she would rather just use this app to order groceries and pick it up or have it delivered or something like that, right? So that's a context that makes sense, that kind of resonates with what you might have learned from your user research, if there was research. Or you could base this on an assumption, right? So your problem statement could be an assumption of like what you think the users are having a problem with, and your app will be the solution, right? So just keep in mind that that kind of editing could be improved. Design process. So this is sort of like what I said before. Lots of things to look at. I can't see this all. I can't zoom in. I cannot give more feedback on this because I don't really know what the focus is. Be careful not to dump every aspect of research right off the bat. There's going to be time in interviews, like I said, design tests and stuff like that, for them to look at your process. And if you did something on FigJam, then during an interview after you do a design test, employers will be able to jump in and look at all the specific details and talk about it. But whilst they're trying to quickly hire someone, or quickly review applicants so they can decide to interview them, they're probably not going to be able to make a decision from this. But this is one project, so I understand there might be other projects that might be better, but like from what I'm seeing right now, this one could be enhanced a little bit. So there was competitor research, and they have personas, so they did do user research. So yeah, this, like I said, stay-at-home mom. If we mentioned that earlier, I think that would be impactful, because then we could definitely start to condense all these blocks of paragraphs into something more simple. How many paragraphs are here, actually? Let me just go through it all. So there's like, wow, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And I said the recommendation of like between 5 and 6 or 7. So this one's a little bit long. So if we try to condense the most important information, think about our case study like a teaser, show us the main problem, and then boom, explain to us how this product works, why this is a good solution, and if you have results, like if you have a summary of research, summarize the research, maybe tell a story about your users as well. That could help keep things nice and concise, so that you are not leaving anything behind. But also the detailed stuff could also be stuff that could be explored later from a design test. Yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it for this portfolio. I think we have another one. Seeker, build knowledge easily. Okay, I haven't seen this one yet, so this is a new one. This is a note-taking platform that allows people to easily build knowledge in an organized and effective manner. Okay, so it's a note-taking platform. Okay. Building knowledge in an organized and effective manner. So I would probably rephrase this. This is just my opinion. Not say you have to do this, but when it comes to building knowledge, it's like, in what context? Is it for business? Is it for school? If it's specified, like who the user is, it might be clearer from the get-go, like what this product should be used for. Like sometimes note-taking is used in all different types of jobs, so if there's a specific job in mind, you might want to mention that. So it says here, the ultimate note-taking app to build knowledge with Seeker. You could quickly and easily create concise notes. There's a system in place to help organize your notes, allowing you to easily access, recall, utilize your notes. It's intuitive, easy to use, making it a perfect app for building knowledge. Okay, so it could be, I could see this being used in like university, or it could be used in business, or it could be used in other jobs where note-taking and stuff like that is necessary. This one's nice. This one has a clear problem statement and a goal. So the overview of the problem. Traditional note-taking platforms allow people to record information, but does not provide a way to retain information. So this is a good insight. So they mentioned where this is happening, and what is an issue for users. Most people get lost in their notes because they don't have a system to organize and easily find their notes. People need a way to engage with notes that they take and view it over time to allow the information to be transferred to the long-term memory in order to be beneficial. I think this is a good statement. I'm not a scientific researcher in this area, so when it comes to things like how humans, record things into long-term memory, it could be debatable, right? But for the sake of presenting their best guess, this is like their just assumption. This is not proven, or it is supposed to be proven. It's a good start, and it's a good way of framing things concisely. And the goal here, it says, design a simple and engaging note-taking app that allows users to quickly take notes, find them easily so that they can recall information, and use it to build and spread knowledge. So build and spread knowledge is, to me, sounds a little bit vague. Like, how do you build knowledge and how do you spread it? And why do you spread knowledge? Are you a professor, or are you an influencer that just wants to share, information? Are you an activist? Like, there's so many different roles and jobs that this could apply to. So we might want to be a little bit careful about figuring out who is spreading the knowledge and why. It is part of the goal of the user, so we know that they want to learn something. It could be to do with school or work, so that makes sense. User research, interview. During the research phase, I conducted interviews with 10 potential users. I could have interviewed anyone who can read and write, but I chose my users by screening them through a survey to determine how much information they consume daily and how they use that information. So with this, I would say probably start off here. During the research phase, I chose users by screening them through a survey to determine how much information they consume daily and how they use that information. Like, that's a good statement. The stuff before it, it's sort of like, it's sort of chit-chatty in a sense that, like, oh, I didn't do it this way, I did it the conventional way. Well, if you're applying for a job, and let's just say the place of employment has a very developed and mature UX team, they already know how to do research properly. Let's just assume that the employer is hiring you because they want you to be an expert as part of their team, and they already kind of know what they're doing. So you don't have to like mention things like, oh, this is a very important thing to do in this research phase. It's like, just assume that the employer knows. and you're just trying to put your best foot forward by making a decision here that's going to help you to lead to better outcomes for your project. And it says, I asked them various questions to identify pain points, gain insights for solutions, questions such as, what is the full process you take to gain knowledge? And how do you retain the knowledge that you gain? Okay. And then from these interviews, I gained valuable insights, began thinking of solutions, features to help people take notes in an effective way. So I don't know if these are like perceptions of what was said, or whether this is like quoted of what was said during the interviews. For clarity's sake, maybe shorten this down to like 2 or 3 or 4, maybe maximum 4 points here, because after 5 or 6, it's going to be hard for a lot of people in HR, or even people reviewing your portfolio to hold it into their short-term memory. So just keep in mind of that. And then when it comes to the results, maybe instead of I ask questions, it could be here's the results. Here's what we learned. We interviewed 10 people. We tried to identify their pain points, and here are their pain points. And this is the number that we got from the surveys, because if it's quantitative data, you might want to show us the quantitative results of that, and that will help us to quickly understand, boom, like 60% of people responded positively to this thing that you asked them on the survey. And when it comes to interviews, you could quote things that are being said, like, hey, this person has shared like a very interesting insight that helped us to understand like how it is that they go about gaining or acquiring knowledge. Or if they mention something like, hey, this user is a student and this is what they need this product for. I don't know. These are just several examples just off the top of my head of like how we could maybe change or structure this section here. Okay. It's 3:49, so I'm going to try my best to like breeze through this. Okay, so they do have personas. It would be nice to mention some of these users here, but I get it that they're trying to go through things step by step. And what I kind of like to do is think about it like, if we're trying to talk about the research, you might want to have cumulative research, like all the research findings, and making it into a summary so that you could quickly explain in just a couple of paragraphs, like, what's the most important thing that we should know about your users? What's the most important pain point that they're struggling with? And here's why this data matters. And maybe show an infographic to convey that the actual work was done. And then move on from that. You could show the persona's profile. Like, you have pain point, pain point, pain point. I think this is an image, so yeah, this one says historian, freelance writer, product designer. This is all good. I just think for the way that it's formatted, it could be lost. It could be easy for someone to skim and then completely ignore this. So if we, like I said, shorten some of these statements down and make this into a summary, and maybe have some images here to introduce this section, it would help you to tell a story about all of your users. If you have generated portraits of these users and that's included into a paragraph, and you have images and text along with this would be even stronger. Of course, I don't have like a map of like how to do this, but it's just an idea of what you could do. Competitor analysis. Okay, so they looked at Roam Research, Evernote, Obsidian, Notion, OneNote. So these are all recognized products. So they're overwhelming, their features cause problems, and people tend to lose focus during the note-taking process. Okay. I'd say, I think this is okay. I just think that I think maybe I say this a lot, and I think it's repetitive that, like, if we showcase the most important information, we don't have to show a kitchen sink list of all the features. But if you show even a comparison of like what your product does versus what the competition does, that could also be a strengthening point. Like you can make the graphic say that like, hey, our product has integrations, our product has templates, our product has all these other things. Or if there's fewer things that your product does, you could also highlight that and say, hey, all these products do too many things and our product does only the essentials, and make some kind of cross comparison here. Then it would be an idea for like how to make this image stronger. Because you're trying to communicate that the competitive analysis is helping your product to stand out. So you might want to showcase where your product stands in the competition as well. It might be an idea. Okay, sketching, prototypes. So I would say if it's not your best work, don't put it in. If you think that this is the best sketch ever, put it in there. If it's not the best, it's okay to not show sketches. These wireframes look good, and I like these. I like these more than the sketches. We know that sketching is important, but sometimes when you work as a UX designer, and I've done roles before where they just skip to wireframing, like straight ahead, right? Some jobs they don't really have time, so it's not always necessary to show that you can do wireframes. It's good to show you could do anything, but for the sake of looking at your case study, you could also just cut to the chase, just show us the best parts of your work, and that's also just fine. As for this could be, okay, wireframe. After creating a basic outline, I moved on to creating a low fidelity using Figma. The wireframes allowed me to refine the design further, providing a more concrete representation of the overall layout, structure, functionality. This could also be a talking point of like user flows. Like, how is this going to enhance the user's experience, right? So we're seeing diagrams here, topic, note. Maybe if this is more like a product breakdown, and instead of showcasing everything, you show us like maybe the first few screens of like, hey, this is what we plan to produce. This is gonna help the user to quickly track or type out their notes or dictate notes. I don't know how it works, but that could be an opportunity to explain how that works. Style guide. It's brief. This is ideal. Like if you're going to showcase a style guide and not a design system, this is great because you don't need to throw the kitchen sink. You could just show us the basic elements. And when it comes to things like this is really hard to see. So I would question why you use this color as a background if your elements are not going to be contrasting on it. So just keep that in mind. You might want to like put a outlined border, something subtle, or just have a white background, or use a colored background that is used in all of your application screens. Like this gray could also be used here. And that's I don't know if this is the hi-fi. I think this is it's wire. It looks hi-fi to me, but it looks like this whole app is like pretty much, yeah, like gray, right? So it does not look like it's deviating much. So I don't know why they use this blue background when it does not contrast with these colors. So just be careful with making sure that your presentation does not make your elements or your design artifacts hard to read. Final design. So this is the final product. And then it kind of explains a little bit more about how it works, right? Additionally, this will allow them to improve their comprehension skills by summarizing information they find. Yeah, even if they had like a demonstration, not saying that you have to do this, but like it's an opportunity of like, it would be nice if they had like animations to show screen gestures and how things would look. That would be an option. I like the fact that they use the iOS keyboard and they kind of maintained you know, their visual hierarchy and the colors are consistent. That's all great. My only concern is that if you're trying to highlight and memorize information, that there's a lack of visual colors being used to block, chunk, and also highlight um, pieces of information. So you have biology here, but it's like if you have a wall of text here, don't you want it to be differentiated so that you could actually scroll through all your notes and be able to visually organize things? But for what they're doing currently, this is still a great, try. I don't have time to look at everything else, unfortunately, because I think we have a few people here waiting to get their portfolios reviewed. Um, I like this. I like the visuals. I wish I could spend time more, and definitely the benefit of presenting your work is also that if you're around, I could also hear from you about how the product works, and that helps me to understand what I'm looking at. So I think that's it for the websites that I was given to review. I hope everyone's still following me. Um, Seems like there might have been an issue with this live stream, so let me just double check. Okay, so I don't have any more work to look at, but if anyone else wants to share something, they absolutely can. Everyone can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
I just want to
awesome.
say thanks for reviewing. Yeah, definitely, yeah. Definitely can hear you and see everything as well.
Yep, I could hear you.
Great.
If that is the
Yeah.
case, I guess I could end it here because that's all the work that I have to review. I don't have anyone else that has left me any messages. Let me just double check to make sure.